Normal, unlike any other marijuana or drug reform organization, is built from the ground up by grassroots activists. We are the Marijuana Smokers Lobby, and we aren't just anti-prohibition, we're pro-marijuana. Every week, we take some time to talk to the citizens of local NORML chapters across the country and around the world, as well as others who are working to make a difference in the fight to end adult marijuana prohibition. In this segment, we call Grassroots Activism.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are concluding our legalization week here on NORML Show Live. On Monday, we addressed Oregon. On Tuesday, we took a look at California. On Wednesday, Colorado. And today, we go to the Evergreen State, Washington State. And you can get archives of these up on our blog at stash.norml.org. We've got them saved on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/radicalruss. And joining me here from Washington State, we've got two of the finest activists one could ask for in just one state. Allison Holcomb from the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington. She's on the line. Welcome, Allison.
Thanks, Russ.
Also joining us is attorney Douglas Hyatt from the NORML Legal Committee and Sensible Washington. Douglas, welcome back.
Glad to be here, Russ. Last but not least, huh?
You betcha. Well, I figured with HempFest coming up this weekend that we would profile Washington on the day before we head out to HempFest. And I understand both of you will be speaking there. When are you speaking, Doug?
I think I'm on a couple of times tomorrow on two different stages. I think I'm on the Hemposium stage sometime Saturday afternoon. I'm on the main stage, Jody Emery and I, right after Congressman Kucinich, right after 420 on main stage on Saturday.
And your Hemposium panel is Patients Out of Patients, isn't it?
And Sunday I'll be around at the Sensible Washington booth, which is just north of main stage for anybody that wants to come by and chat.
Fantastic. And your panel on the Hemposium is Patients Out of Patients, right? Can you tell us about what that's going to be about?
Well, I think the title pretty much says it all, Russ. I think that medical marijuana patients in this state are just about at the end of their rope, so to speak, over the state's laws. It's just a mess. It's a shambles. It's very unfortunate, and it leaves patients exposed to vulnerable and without safe access.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Allison Holcomb, you'll also be at the Seattle Hemp Fest, I understand?
That's right.
All right. And
Go
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I'm speaking on the main stage tomorrow evening, and then I have a couple of slots on Saturday on the Sealy stage and McLean stage in the afternoon, and then a Hemposium panel on Sunday.
Excellent. I encourage everyone to check out those Hemposium panels. You'll learn more in 45 minutes than you could have ever imagined you'd know about cannabis law reform with some of the best activists out there. And Allison, this year we've got Congressman Kucinich, we've got Representative Goodman, Mary Lou Dickerson, Councilman Licata, we've got Mayor McGinn, is it? What do you think about all these politicians wanting to come out to the Seattle Hemp Fest?
It's absolutely fantastic. It's just a testament to how much hard work Washington grassroots activists have put in over decades, literally, to create this environment where folks from the mainstream, people that count on voters to get reelected to office, want to come to the Seattle Hemp Fest and go on record as believing that marijuana law reform needs to be discussed more openly and honestly. I think it's fantastic.
All right. Well, let's get to the subject of legalization or regulation or whatever it is we're calling it this week, where we don't lock people up for marijuana. Allison, can you tell us about your proposals with ACLU of Washington and how you would have an initiative for regulation of marijuana?
Sure. So the ACLU of Washington has loaned me, I'm still the drug policy director, but basically I've been turned into an in-kind contribution to a political action committee called New Approach to Washington. And that campaign filed an initiative at the end of June that is now number Initiative 502, I-502, sponsored by former U.S. Attorney John McKay, Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes, Rick Steves, the two most recent presidents of the Washington State Bar Association, Professor Emeritus from the University of Washington, two public health physicians, and Representative Mary Lou Dickerson, who was the prime sponsor of House Bill 1550, which you may remember was the legalization bill that was before the state legislature this past session, and then also the previous House Bill 2401, which was the legalization measure that she introduced in 2010. We got our ballot title back from the State Attorney General's office at the end of July, and petitions hit the field at the beginning of August. So we are just now ramping up the the signature gathering part of the campaign.
All right. And Doug Hyatt, you're working also on ending marijuana prohibition there in Washington State. Tell us about the efforts that you're involved with.
Well, I think, Russ, for the last 2 years, Sensible Washington has run what we call, real reform, a legalization initiative that truly ends prohibition and legalizes marijuana. And we've tried to get it on the ballot directly in the signature gathering period that begins after you file at the start of the year in January. The last 2 years, we've tried, as an all grassroots, no paid signature gatherers effort, to get on the ballot, and we have not been able to get enough signatures back in. We believe that we probably had enough signatures actually out in the field, but we just could not get some of them back in, and some of them wound up in the hands of paid gatherers who wouldn't turn them over because we didn't have any money. But unfortunately, we just haven't been able to get on the ballot with an all-volunteer effort. We're looking at filing again in January so that we can give voters a choice between NAW and what we believe is a better way. We're looking to try and raise money, a problem NAW doesn't have. We're looking to try and raise money this time to be able to use paid signature gatherers in that effort.
Okay, so for people that want to get involved and help out your efforts, Douglas, is there a website or phone or email that they should know?
Absolutely. You can find us at Sensible Washington, all one word, sensiblewashington.org. And you can find us at Seattle Hemp Fest. We have a booth there. We'll be just north of Main Page. We have a Facebook page as well, Sensible Washington. There's been a lot of response around the country to our initiative and to the template. That is basically a template for ending prohibition the same way that alcohol prohibition was ended. I understand there's a new series coming up, and Ken Burns and I know Normal's involved in promoting a good look at that, at how prohibition ended, and that's where we took our inspiration, and that's how we do it. Essentially, is by removing prohibition entirely.
Okay, and Allison Holcomb, I'm going to give you the chance also to contact information, websites, any places people can do more research on the new approach.
Absolutely. The website URL is newapproachwa.org. There's a link to it from my name and the speakers lineup and the online Seattle Hemp Fest website. We also will have an ad in the program with one of these cool new smart tags that I finally learned about, so you can just kind of use your phone to figure out how to get there. Newapproachwa.org.
All right. Now, as I've been doing these interviews and speaking with different activists from around the western states, it seems to me that a pattern has kind of emerged beyond just everything now being sensible. But a pattern has emerged for me where it seems like there's two basic theories on this approach. One being, let's remove the criminal aspect of marijuana prohibition, but then however it's going to get regulated, that's up to the government. And the other approach being, no, let's remove the criminal thing and space out here exactly how it is going to be regulated so the government doesn't have a chance to set those laws. I want to give you both a chance to address that, starting with Allison. Do you see your initiative falling into one of those two camps?
Absolutely. We specifically drafted a proposal that not only removed certain activities from criminal penalties under Washington's law, but also created the regulatory system under which Washington businesses could be licensed to produce, process, and sale and retail marijuana to adults 21 and over. And basically, the approach is one that was set forth for us by our public opinion research, and just seeing that what Washington voters are comfortable with is having some sort of regulations, licenses, and especially the collection of taxes attached to legalizing marijuana and bringing it out of the black market.
And Doug, your response to the two camps idea, does your initiative fall in the other camp?
Well, I think it does. I mean, I think there's a clear difference between what we're doing and what NAW is doing. Our approach, it really is to just plain remove marijuana from the list of controlled substances and remove all criminal penalties for adults 18 and over. And we don't affect the current driving laws. We don't affect the current juvenile laws. We don't do anything except remove marijuana from the list of controlled substances and subsequently all adult criminal and civil penalties. I think that is legalization. I don't think that what New Approach Washington is doing is legalization. I don't believe they legalize marijuana at all.
All right, I'll give Allison a chance to respond to that.
Well, I guess it depends on what you call legalization. What I can say is, I understand from his analysis where Douglas is coming from with his proposal. But what we've seen is that voters just aren't ready to go that far. They want to know, how is this going to work is the bottom line. And they're simply not ready yet for the idea that, well, we're just going to remove all of the current restrictions and allow people 18 and over to grow as much as they want, to sell it or deliver it to each other. It may be a solution that sounds very simple and clean from a legal perspective, but unfortunately from the political perspective, it's simply not one that Washington voters are ready to pass.
Douglas, I'll give you a chance to address that, but I did want to bring up, you mentioned for people 18 and older, and this may be one of the few initiatives I've heard that proposes that age rather than 21. Why 18, and do you fear any political fallout from that?
Well, first of all, let me correct a misstatement. Allison was saying this initiative allows people over 18 to grow and deliver it to people under 18, and that's simply not true. What we have always said is that we need to do the prohibition in a two-step process, just like they did it with alcohol. There are legal reasons for that. New Approach Washington simply will not work. It's preemptable federally, and it will not survive a federal preemption attack. It also doesn't end the problem. It doesn't end prohibition, and it doesn't legalize. Saying that people won't do something is not a reason for doing something else. The fact that Washington voters may not be ready to go, first of all, I'm not sure that's true. Based on polling I've seen above 50% for outright legalization polled in this state. I think people are ready for outright legalization, and outright legalization means we as the people take the first step, remove the criminal penalties, then the legislature steps in and puts in a regulatory system. That way you've got the federal government trapped. They cannot preempt your initiative that just removes the state law. They could preempt your regulations, but it would be politically impossible for them to do so. That is the way the reform needs to go. That's the way alcohol reform worked. That's the way we did it in this state when we got rid of prohibition.
Right.
And, that also just makes a clean slate for the legislature to write the regulations on. We also don't affect the driving laws. New Approach Washington, as part of their effort to get this thing passed, has included a horrible DUI provision that basically criminalizes patients. It creates a 5 nanogram per milliliter limit for people 21 and over, but for people under 21, it's a zero tolerance test. It's zero tolerance. You test for any amount between 16 and 21, and you get a DUI.
Well,
Now,
Doug, I have to apologize. We're on a time constraint here, so I have to wrap up the interview. And Allison, I'm sorry I didn't have the time here for a response to that. This is something we could talk about for the whole show, but we've got Vivian McPeak holding on the line for the next interview. So I encourage people to check out the panels at the Seattle Hemp Fest this weekend. This will be a topic of discussion, I'm sure. And I encourage everyone to look at them yourself. Go and read the text here, newapproachwa.org for the ACLU proposal, the sensiblewashington.org for the proposal Doug's speaking about, and Allison Holcomb from ACL of Washington and Douglas Hyatt from Sensible Washington. I appreciate you so much for giving light to this debate. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
thanks a bunch, Rob.
All right, we'll see you guys in HempFest. And coming back, we'll speak with the executive director of Seattle HempFest, Vivian McPeak, right after these messages.
76% of Americans no longer support arresting and jailing marijuana smokers, and nearly as many support the medical patients having access to medical marijuana. And over 80% of our citizens now believe the war on drugs is an ineffective failure. So the question is, when will the government's misguided war on adult marijuana smokers finally end? When? Simple. When you and your like-minded friends, family, and coworkers get involved with an organization such as the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, also known as NORML. My name is Keith Stropp, and I founded the organization in 1970. Contact us at NORML, toll-free, 888-67-NORML, or by visiting the organization's up-to-date webpage at www.normal.org.
La cucaracha, ya no puede caminar.
You're listening to Normal Show Live.
Tiene porque le falta marihuana que fumar.
You chip it.
The voice of the marijuana nation.
The fact is today, people don't go to jail for possession of marijuana. I know you like to pretend it does, and there's a lot of misinformation about that, but finding somebody in jail or prison for a first-time nonviolent offender for possession of marijuana is like finding a unicorn. You find one, you will make a big story because it doesn't exist. Finding somebody in jail or prison for a first-time nonviolent offender for possession of marijuana is like finding a unicorn, finding a unicorn, finding a unicorn.
Normal Show Live, the National Wildlife Refuge for marijuana unicorns.